This next video, I'd like to talk about what I call the alpha male mentality. You know, being in the military, being an alpha male is the best, it can save your life, and to be honest with you, that's what the military teaches you, is to be bigger, stronger, faster, tougher, meaner, never give up, never quit. Those are all wonderful attributes that the military teaches you. But at the same time, they can be your worst enemy when trying to deal with the VA. So often I come across vets, and I've seen so many vets on the side of the road that are holding a sign that says "Disabled vet, please help, God bless." And usually, when I go and I stop and I talk with vets like that, it's because they failed to document everything while they were in service. When you get injured in the service, there people will make you feel bad. They'll treat you horribly because you're showing it's a sign of weakness to receive medical attention. But the thing is you have to be able to make a separation. Even at 22, 23 years of age, if you get injured, whether it's up to a parent, another vet, one of your battle buddies, whomever, they need to be telling you to get it documented and get the medical treatment that you need. The worst thing that you can possibly do is get injured, no matter how big or small, and not go to medical over it. Because what ends up happening is, let's follow the little track of life, is that you get injured and maybe you hurt your knee when you're 21, 22 years of age. Maybe you decide to get out by the time you're 25, and you were afraid at 22 that if you told them what was going on, that they would medically separate you. I understand it as much as the next person, because I did not want to get out of the service. But at the same time, by not getting that, it's going to start a cycle in life of, injuries will get worse over time. But the thing is if you don't have documentation, you'll never be able to get anywhere with the VA. And that's the problem, which is why when you get injured, you need to get it documented. Because by doing that, I always tell people the difference between having a nice life, a decent home, and having what you need in life, the difference between that and being the guy on the side of the road holding a sign in their hand, all comes down to if you got it documented or not. Because if you don't, I assure you, the VA will not listen to anything that comes out of your mouth. If you think they're going to take you at face value, you're wrong. The thing is by having it, I don't care if it's even that you got it seen and treated and were given an aspirin, it still proves that an injury happened that day. And you never know right at the moment how important all that is going to be later on in life, because when you're filing, if you have no documentation, you have no claim. They're not going to take you at your word, so therefore it's in your best interest to get it documented. I've heard so many stories of vets who got out after Vietnam and they came back to the United States and they were told, look, if you stick around for a couple extra weeks, we'll document everything, or you can leave right now. And unfortunately, so many veterans left at that moment and said, you know what, I want nothing to do with this service. And then 20, 30, 40 years later, now they've got all these horrible illnesses from the Agent Orange exposure when they were exposed to Agent Orange. The fact is that they don't have any documentation that proves it. Now, I will tell you this on the other hand. The reason that you have campaign medals and badges and things that go on your DD-214 is that it shows that you served at a certain place at a certain time, or something happened. The ones that show, say if you served in Vietnam and you have the Vietnam Campaign Service Medal, that shows and proves that you served in Vietnam, which can help for things that are environmental exposures. So say if you file a claim for Agent Orange, seeing the fact that you served in Vietnam, they have to accept that you were served there. Or if in your documentation it proved that you worked on, say, the flight deck of an aircraft carrier and you now have tinnitus or ringing in your ears, or you worked in field artillery, that shows that, hey, those injuries are consistent with the types of injuries that veterans normally get from working in that type of environment. The thing that I'm more concerned about is if you hurt your leg, because that's not going to be documented on your DD-214 unless you were given a medical discharge over it. So at the end of the day, the important thing to remember is this. If you get injured, see somebody, because what will end up happening is if you don't, you're going to end up someday wishing to God that you had. And that's what I always tell people. I see service members in restaurants all the time and around town, and I'll walk up and say, hey, thank you for serving. One thing real quick, if you ever get injured, get it documented. Otherwise, you'll get left out in the cold, because that's what happens. And I'm just trying to avoid you from having heartache by sharing with you things that I've seen happen so many times because I've known that guy. I wasn't that guy myself, but I've known him, and I've known him 1,000 times over. And what he did is he didn't get it. He didn't get anything to prove to Service Connection, and now he's literally can't hold down a job, can't have a wife, can't have a life, can't have a home, all the things they can't do because they failed at that young age to open up their mouth and say what had really happened. Thank you.